Good morning, welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. In today's episode, and by the way, you may notice my screen saying there's no interwebs connection. I've got internet issues here at the moment. Admittedly, they're probably only about the second time since we finally got Virgin Media installed, so can't be too grumpy about it, to be honest. Anyway, on to today's topics. Yesterday wasn't a flying day. You'll find out what I ended up doing instead. I've had some thermal boots arrive, and also the SQ8 camera arrived as well. We'll have some more notes on that one. What else we got? 18650 battery tests as well. Now, I'm sure, just like yourself, is that you've seen people there's one or two realistic channels which have covered these well, and then there's other channels which I've just focused on the bad side of these, where there's rated 9,000 milliamperes and things like that. So we'll be discussing 18650 batteries, and I've also got a fantastic article for you as well, which I would love to show you, but my internet isn't working at the moment. And also, just a practical point of view, because I don't know if you can hear the rain out there. It's belting it down here in the United Kingdom at the moment, and that actually, on the topic of batteries, it may be just a good time to put specific batteries into storage charge, or give them a storage charge instead. So let's get back to number one. So yesterday didn't turn out to be a flying day in the end, and frankly speaking, I ended up clearing up leaves for about 3 hours. It was not last night, the night before, we had really ridiculously strong winds here, and it stripped all the trees around the house, and we had this much of leaves. In fact, it was 4 or 5, these big cement sacks which you get gravel and stuff, sand delivered in. 5 or 6 of those were full to the brim yesterday. That was fun, to say the least. Onto a slightly different topic. I've had some thermal boots arrive because my toes were absolutely freezing the other day on the flight line, and Dave was there quite happily plodding along saying my feet are really actually too hot. So I've been and bought some thermal boots, so we'll have an unboxing done of those today. They weren't that expensive actually. I thought they were pretty good value. I think they were only 20 quid, something like that. Brilliant, I like that. And also the SQ8 camera arrived. So I don't know if you remember back to one of the, I think it was it a mail episode? No, it was one of the coffee mornings. I'd seen this little camera come out on Banggood. Well, it'd been on Banggood for a while. It's now been arrived, and the gravity in this device is epic. You wouldn't believe it's like a little lump of lead. It's not no way as heavy as a run cam, but yeah, it's much heavier than what I was expecting. So I think they've gone with a metal case to help the processing chip inside deal with its form factor, which is very, very small. And I haven't even put it on charge yet, but we'll be giving that one a whirl and see if it was worth its 14 quid or not, as the case may be. And it came with some very cheapy looking accessories. So we'll see what that's like. That now brings us on to the 18650 battery test. So I bought what I would class as premium batteries. These are some LG some or other batteries that I'll put a link to them in the video description when I get my interwebs back. And these are rated to 3,500 milliampere hours. These do feel heavier than the normal ones which I've got, so there is definitely some weight in these, that's for sure. They don't feel like cheapo ones. I've bought some slightly cheaper ones before and they were quite light. No, these really do have some weight in them, so you can tell that there is something really, really packed inside of them, although I will frankly never open one up because that would be dodgy, as insert your own term there. So what I'm doing, I've had 3 of these, not these ones, these are the other 3. They all turned up in the same pack, in the same order, and I've charged one up at 1 amp on one charger. I've charged another one up at half an amp on another charger, and then I've charged the other one up on the dedicated vape charger, which charges at 500 milliamps ampere hours, so that is half an amp. And what I'm going to be doing today is I've got some bricks lined up over there on the charging station, and I'm going to go and set them to discharge to see what happens. How close do we realistically get to the 3,500 milliampere hours? Now, there are some caveats to this. Is the number one, the charger which I've got will not drain them all the way down to the 2.5 volts. And keep that 2.5 volts in the back of your mind, because in the videos which slate these batteries is that typically they'll discharge them at a much higher rate, and these are normally discharged at about 100 milliampere hours for their test. Oh, we just got some interwebs back. Happy days. Well, does that mean that? Yes. Okay, we'll get to that article in a moment. Is the 100 milliampere hours. That's what they're going to drain them at. Now, I'm going to drain these at 1 amp, which is about the max limit of what that charger can handle. So if we fry it, it's not the end of the world. I want a nice new charger anyway. But the reason why I'm going to be draining them at 1 amp is because that's more like a realistic current draw. Because in the models which I'm going to be putting them in my head, I'm going to be aiming at, for whatever the average current draw is, or whatever the cruise current draw is the one of these cells for 1 amp. Okay, so if I had a 2S pack, sorry, a 2P pack, so the two batteries joined up together, is that they would then be able to draw 2 amps. Now, these are rated actually up to 10 amps, but that's the logic which I'm using in my head. Like I said, there is a caveat. I can only drain them down to 3 volts, so they will be able to provide more power beyond that. It's just a limitation of my charger which I've got. But I just want to know in my head, are these batteries any good or not? Like I said, they've got great gravity in them, and I think they're going to do all right, to be frankly honest. Now, I don't know what the difference is between the different charging rates. One of them did take 5-6 hours to charge, only half an amp, which was like a quarter C, I think, or something like that, or third C. So yeah, it's a bit of a curious one. I'm just doing this to answer my own personal curiosity. Are these any good? Well, this specific are these batteries any good? Now, I've used other batteries. There is ones which I originally bought for my vape about a year ago, and they are now starting to show signs. They just don't last as long as the other ones. So if you think I've had a year's worth of vaping on them, they probably have had near their 500 charges. So they do have a life to these batteries, that's for sure, and I'm only just experiencing it now with some 18650s which I bought like a year ago, and I've really have hammered in the vape, and the vape, I can tell you, draws way more than a couple of amps, that's for sure. So yeah, that's the 18650s. Gonna be a very curious test, and like I said, this is very much to answer my own curiosity. I've seen some videos on YouTube absolutely slating them, and in some cases it's probably been fair. Those batteries which are claiming 9,000 milliampere hours are probably absolute BS. Realistically, I think I'm going to hedge my bets, is that I think they're all going to perform they're all the same battery type, they just had different charging cycles applied to them. I think they are going to do very, very well. Yeah, just by having them here in my hand, they feel like a quality product. I think they're going to do pretty good, and yeah, I don't know. If you haven't seen that video yet, go back and watch it, and do place your bets on which one's going to perform better. I don't know which one of the charging methods is going to work out better. And the last topic which we're going to cover is a post which somebody popped in the Facebook group, and I'll put a link to this article in the video description for you, and you should 100% read it, okay? And the reason why you should read it is because it's all about Lipo battery care, okay? In fact, I'm not going to give you a summary of this one, other than because I think you should definitely read it yourself. And the one thing which I'm taking away from this, and I'd like for you to take away with this, is that if you are in the Northern Hemisphere and it is chucking it down and your number of flying days has gone down, maybe it's an idea that some of those batteries which you are unlikely to be using anytime soon, and I know that I've got a couple of 3.3 4S packs, there's a 3.7 4S pack, I think, which, yeah, basically I've got a collection of packs which really do need to go into storage charges. Now, all the chargers, I've got 3 different chargers over there, and they've all got the storage option on there. That's what I'm going to do later today, start putting batteries, specific batteries into storage. Obviously, the batteries like the 2.2s and the 1.3s and the 1.5s, the ones which I use very regularly, I'm just going to leave as is. They'll be fine. But the special batteries, which are used for specific models, which I'm unlikely to be flying, then yeah, they can go into storage charge so that at least they can survive then, well, have a chance of surviving the winter now, so that they can then be reused in the new year. So that was the topics for today's RC Coffee Chat. Yeah, yesterday wasn't a flying day. I ended up clearing up a lot of leaves. And we've got some thermal boots which we'll be looking at in a mail opening episode, which I'll record today, and that'll be with you probably later on this week. I'll also give you a heads up, the IB Crazy episodes might be out at the end of this week. Because remember, they came in scattered over 2 days. So that might be about Friday, maybe even possibly next Monday before they come out, just because of the lag of the mail episodes which I've got. And the 18650 battery test. This really is to answer my curiosity on these. I do class these ones as a premium ones. They're about £6 each, so they weren't cheap by any stretch of the imagination. But I can tell you, there is certainly some gravity in that. Now, I said that a couple of times, so let me just get the scales out. And one of these batteries weighs, oh, that's in ounces. Oh, it's about 1.6 ounces if you're in America. 46 grams. And as a group, there's 3 of them there, 140 grams. So potentially that would be a 3S battery with a rating of 3,500 milliampere hours. For 140 grams, give or take a bit extra for any wiring which would need to go on top of there. So we'll say 150 grams for 3,500 milliampere pack. That's just nuts! Hence my curiosity on these. So let's get that turned off so we can save the battery for later. And finally, this article. Definitely do go and have a read of this article. I've personally read it myself. I did find it very, very interesting indeed. And I do believe that you will as well. And I'll put a link to that in the video description. So with that said, thank you for joining me for an RC Coffee Chat this morning. Definitely not a flying day out there. It's more of a submarine day because it's absolutely belting it down. So if you are going to be flying today, enjoy it because the weather is absolutely horrific here in the UK at the moment. So on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you ever so much for joining me for today's RC Coffee Chat, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Cheerios!